Okay, then we have pseudo elements. We have first line, first letter, selection, which is actually not in the specifications, before and after. The first line and first letter have been around since forever. Before and after are supported in IE8 and since. And selection is actually interesting because it's supported everywhere, and that's an example of it actually. Except for it never made into the specifications because it was still not defined and they didn't want to hold up the specification, so they pulled it from the specification so that they could prove all the rest of the stuff. They didn't want it to hold up anymore. So that's that's an example of it. Selection right there. I've selected that word, and you see how it's red. And this is red. And previously in my document, when I selected stuff, it was blue. That is because I've styled the selection. So that is what selection is, but I'll get to that slide in a minute. So notice that these have two dots in front of them. The double colon notation indicates that it is a pseudo element and not a pseudo class. However, in practice, you will be using one because Microsoft. That's my answer to everything, because Microsoft. Why does my life suck today? I actually tweeted that the other day. I was debugging, supposed to be debugging in IE7 something, and it took me like an hour to get IE7 up because Microsoft. So we're going to be using single colon notation because Microsoft. Okay, so here we have, I'm actually using double colon notation for this example so that you get used to what the differences between a pseudo class and a pseudo element are. And this browser supports it, but in production you will be using one. So here it says P first of type first letter. Anyone know why I did this? Why would I do first of type? Because if I didn't, that's ugly. I'm not a graphic designer and I know that that's ugly, especially like if you have less text. So if you're ever going to use first letter, which I've never used, that's not true. I used on a site in 2003. So that's how long it's been around. But you want to do that because you don't want it to be every paragraph. And then I just styled it. I told it to be 3 M's, so it's the same height as 3 rows. That's first letter. Yay, it works. First line works the same way. It's as if when you have first letter or first line or any pseudo element, you can style it as if there was like a faux div around it. So it basically says, I don't know what this element is. We never know exactly what it is until the page renders, but when it does render, put this fake div around it and style that div. So here I could have done, position absolute. Apparently this CSS has nothing to do with this page. Oh, no. I have no clue what I'm doing. It is impacting it, but it's not working. Oh, no. Oh, well. Okay, let's cut that out of the video. Okay, so then we have selection, and that you saw what we did already, right? I just said background maroon or red, foreground white. You can style it. If you use, everyone here of HTML5 boilerplate? If you haven't looked at HTML5 boilerplate, it's a good read. I mean, that sounds really silly to say, like a template is a good read, but they actually commented out, get the long version, it explains HTML5.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Has anybody done that? Download HTML5 boilerplate, read through the comments?
So the reason that I mention HTML5 boilerplate is because they put this in there and they make it by default fuchsia. And so they can actually see which sites have implemented HTML5 boilerplate without reading the comments, because when you select their site, their stuff like becomes hot pink, which is fine on the T-Mobile website, but no other website. Okay, so we've covered everything except for before and after, which I have a full section on. But one of the things we've been saying is like, oh, this doesn't work in IE7 or IE8. But that is okay. Who here does not use a JavaScript library when they're programming, other than me? Okay, so you guys all use a library or framework of some sort. Well, there's a selectivizer, which basically goes with most libraries. And let me just open it. So here's selectivizer. And here is their table of support with jQuery, Dojo, Prototype, YUI, DOM Assistant, which I never heard of, MooTools, and basically you see all the selectors here, and you see the libraries here, and you see what's supported. So first of type, last of type, and only of type is not supported, but jQuery has its own first, which is different. Another talk when you guys are really bored. I believe I put this in here, jQuery selectors. This is like such a beautiful presentation. But it actually goes through all the selectors that we just went through and then explains the differences with, like these are jQuery only. So you have animated, hidden, and visible, which hidden and visible are not yet in CSS. So if you get confused by jQuery and you can't remember, this is an actual list. And I don't know if there's a list anywhere other than in my deck of the selectors, because when I was doing this talk, it took me a long time to find that stuff. But then, of course, I don't use jQuery. I mean, I do, but I tend to hand code. So I'm not probably as good as you guys are with jQuery. OK, so back to selectivizer, back to the select this. So use selectivizer plus any JavaScript library for backwards compatibility. And then another thing to note, so you guys, who here uses jQuery? Anyone use a library other than jQuery? I mean, like, anyone not use jQuery? OK, so I'll just use jQuery as the example, which is good, because that's the example that's up here. So you've done this, right? Everything we just learned right now, except for the pseudo elements, you can put right there. You can put nth of type 3 right there. But you don't need to pull in jQuery to do that. You can use document query selector all and put the selector right there, right in there. So let's say you're just targeting one element on your page. Don't like to do one thing. Don't include a full jQuery library just to target one element, because I will hunt you down and shoot you. Not that I have an opinion on the matter. But you can actually use this. I think IE8, but possibly 7. I think it started in IE8. So that works. The difference between this and this, the reason that there's an equal sign instead of a triple equal sign, is because this returns a live node list, and this returns a static node list. Live node list means if you update your page, it will automatically be added to the list. If you update your page, it will not be added to this list. So you're thinking, why would I use this then, right? Because how many times do you add to your node list? And second of all, this is a reference to your node list. So every time you hit it then, it re-gets the node list. Whereas when you have a static node list, it's more performant. The first time you get it, it's slower, but every other time when you use it, it's more performant. So, and then there's tons of pseudo elements that we have not covered, because there's something called the shadow DOM. And I'm going to hope this works right here. Actually, I'm going to do it from a different talk. I am going to, oops. I'm going to try to make everyone dizzy today by flipping through everything. Estelle, github/forms/slide 10. Why not? That was not a good one to put. I'm going to go to slide. I'm trying to get everyone to have epileptic seizures. OK, so here, right here, we have this little thing right there, right, in a slider. If I hit this and I go and I select this, and then you see how there's an arrow right in front of this input? You're like, wait, input is an empty node. Why is there an arrow there? When you click on that, it says shadow root. And in there it says div, and in there it says div pseudo webkit slider runnable track. And then inside that, there's another div. You can style this. by using ::dash webkit dash slider thumb or whatever it is. It's not all browsers yet, but it is coming. So you can style it right now in WebKit browsers. And you're like, I don't know how to find it, like, because you don't know, you know there's a thumb, and you're kind of like, I really want to style it. Actually, you don't, because it's, at least for me, the native UI is so much prettier than what I could do, but you guys probably are more skilled than I am in that arena. But you don't know the name of it. But now actually with the debugger, and this is fairly recent in the debugger, you might need to turn a flag on, I can't remember, but you can actually see what it's called, and it says pseudo, and that's the pseudo element that you're allowed to style. So that's what you put as your selector. You put webkit ::dash webkit dash slider dash runnable dash track, and you can style that. And here you see in the user agent, right there. See that there? Hard to read from the back, but believe me, it's there.